Hey guys, today we're going to be working with a pretty unique material. Riempies is a leather thong. It's unique to South Africa. Raw leather has been treated with aluminum sulfate, so you don't have to soak it. It's pliable, it's soft, and if you do soak it, you're going to ruin your Riempies. Riempies has a square profile with a fibrous bottom and then a smoother, shinier top. This chair is from South Africa originally. Holes that I'm going into are pretty big, and they have to be in order to accommodate the large thong. So you start on the bottom with a tack. Helps to make a tack hole with an awl. And I'm using a little bit larger 1/2 inch tacks. Once you've got your start tack down, then it's just a matter of weaving back and forth, similar to a laced cane chair, but with a lot larger material. So you want to pull solid tension. The Riempie strands are usually between 6 and 8 feet long, so we're going to go as far as we can and then tack in a new one. And there's some tension on there. You don't want them to be slack. They shouldn't stretch a whole lot, but they will stretch a little bit over time. Okay, I'm going to make it to the back with this one, but not back to the front. So that's the end of this strand. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy started so I can do 2 tacks on the bottom all at once. Got a few threaded through, make sure that the tension is good. Pulling the tension out of it, you're not necessarily pulling it super tight. And here we are. I don't have enough to get across. Put a clamp to hold. Now I'm able to turn it upside down. We'll get not only the tack to finish off this strand, but also start a new strand here. Finishing up the first strand. Fantastic. Starting a new strand. And I'll cut the tails once I'm all woven together. All right, let's see how far we can get with that next strand. And that stuff does smell funky. It is a raw material, so you probably want to keep your hands away from your eyes and mouth. Start point, kind of pull slack out, and it's easier to, similar to lace cane, where you pull the slack here and then hold the slack underneath. Here, pulling towards the hole that you're headed towards. There we go. Oh, it's so close. We'll see if we can get there, but I think it's going to come up just fairly short. That's the way it goes. And I'm going to start weaving through side to side now and leave these last 2 strands, hoping that maybe I'll end up with a remnant instead of using a full 8-foot length. So you start and stop on the sides in the same way as you start and stop in going front to back. And the weaving pattern is a simple over and under. And you can start in the back, you can start in the front, whatever you prefer. All right, that one will at least get back across again. Tension. And you want to keep these spaces about the same as between the holes. So I'm going to go ahead and weave the tail end through. So then I don't have to pull the whole strand. Tack at the start. It does like to twist, so just do the best you can to keep it from twisting around, as long as the shiny smooth side is on the top and also facing downward on the loops that you're making. I'm leaving it loose. I prefer to focus on pattern first and then deal with the tension. That way I'm not having to hold the tension with my hands while I'm trying to weave through like this. And it is going to get tighter every time you weave through. You can see the up and down serpentine action that the material is taking. Woven through now is just a matter of pulling tension towards the hole and then down, holding tension, pulling the loop tight, and then the next row. And yeah, it really does get tight at this point. It starts to, the leather, the rawhide riempie rubs on itself, not to mention the fact that just the whole pattern is getting tighter, but that's what we're shooting for. All right, at least that one made it. I'm going to take a minute and clean the pattern up. It's eventually going to fall into an equilibrium on its own, but kind of get these squares at least similarly sized. They'll get a little smaller as you get to the back. The spacing in the back between the back holes is smaller than the front. So I got one more strand to run in the back, and then these two that we left blank. And I'm sorry if that's confusing. We're trying to conserve as much of this material as possible. Now I can use one riempie. I'll go on the back, and then I've got enough to go back and forth on the front with just a little bit left over. Our last row on the back. And flip it upside down and get some tacks in. And we're using tacks to start and stop. We've done this previously where you use a peg in the hole, but these holes are so small that there's not really room for a peg. So the tacks work great. While I'm here, I'm going to clean these guys up. The snips work great. You can use a chisel. Now we've got the end of that riempie strand, and I've got it just enough to jump back and forth now, so that turned out perfect. And one thing to watch out for, especially when it's tight here is as you're pulling through, it's going to try to rotate the strands that are already there around. The friction between the strands is really tight now. So just make sure that when all is said and done, that they are nice and flat. And the last couple strands are pretty tight. You don't have to pull the whole thing through at once, just a couple. That'll help you manage the friction in between the leather straps. So the snips worked great. If you want to clean them up, a chisel, actually that works even better. You can clean up those edges. And I want to make this one pretty short in order to be able to pull this guy and get a tack there. That looks good. Okay. Now that all the weaving is done, massage the pattern out. This is when you can let your OCD take control, and it's going to shift on its own as the chair is used. That seems pretty good to me. There we go. So the weaving process is fairly simple. It's the material that's unique. This specialized Riempie material, you pay for the specialty of it or the specialness of it. It does come all the way from South Africa. Don't remember off the top of my head. I feel like it was 3,000 rand or something like that. We do like this Riempie material and plan to keep it in stock now that we have a decent supplier. You're welcome to contact us. We'd gladly send you some to work on your project. Or if you've got a big project, we can order some for you. Thank you for watching the Silver River Chairs channel.
Where does he know?
She's
going
yeah.
On camera.
This is a family show, Rosie. Yes, that was my thumb. Thanks for watching the Silver.